He was one step away from disappearing forever, and the only person who noticed was a poor little girl no one ever listened to. "Stay quiet, come with me." The whisper stopped Michael Grant cold. He stood outside his mansion in an expensive navy suit, phone in one hand, car keys in the other. His black sedan waited by the front gate, engine running. He was late for the airport. Late for a meeting worth millions. Then he looked down. A small girl stood beside the stone walkway. Lily Carter, the gardener's daughter. 11 years old. Worn sneakers. A school notebook tucked under her arm. Her eyes were wide with fear. "Mr. Grant, please," she whispered, grabbing his sleeve. "Don't let him see you." Michael frowned. "Who?" She pulled him behind a row of tall ceramic planters near the hedge. Gravel pressed against his polished shoes as he crouched beside her. "That's not your driver," Lily said. Michael almost laughed. "He's worked for me for years." Lily shook her head fast. "Your driver always opens the door with his right hand, he keeps the keys in his left pocket. Today, that man opened it with his left." Michael's smile faded. "And the license plate," she added. "One number is wrong." Slowly Michael looked through the leaves. Same car. Same color. Same suit on the man by the door. But now, everything felt different. His phone buzzed in his hand. His wife's name lit up the screen. Michael stopped breathing. Michael stared at the name glowing on his phone. Vanessa Grant. His wife? The woman waiting inside that mansion. The woman who had kissed him goodbye 1,000 mornings. The woman who knew every meeting on his calendar before his assistant did. The phone kept buzzing. Lily crouched beside him, barely breathing. Her small fingers still held the sleeve of his suit, like she was afraid the world might snatch him away if she let go. "Don't answer," she whispered. Michael turned toward her sharply. For a second, all the fear in the garden vanished from his face and something colder took its place. Authority. Habit. Pride. "Lily," he said under his breath, "I appreciate your concern, but I am not hiding behind flower pots for my own driver." He stood halfway up. Lily grabbed his wrist. Hard. Not like a child begging. Like someone trying to pull a man back from the edge of a cliff. "Please, Mr. Grant." His jaw tightened. The black sedan waited beyond the iron gate. The man beside it stood too still. One hand near the door handle. The other tucked inside his jacket. Michael looked at him. Then at the phone. Then at Lily. He had built towers downtown. Signed deals that moved markets. Walked into rooms where powerful men lowered their voices when he entered. And now an 11-year-old girl with dusty knees and a school notebook was telling him what to do. It irritated him more than it should have. "I'm already late," he said. "Do you understand that? There are people waiting for me." Lily's eyes flicked toward the gate. "They're waiting for you too." That hit him. Not hard enough to stop him, but hard enough to make his hand freeze over the phone. The call ended. A second later, a text appeared. "Where are you? The driver says you're still not in the car. You'll miss your flight." Michael read it twice. His thumb hovered over the screen. Lily shook her head. He typed back anyway. "Coming now." "Mr. Grant," Lily whispered. He slid the phone into his pocket and brushed dust from his pants like the whole thing was embarrassing. "I don't have time for this." He stepped out from behind the planters. The sunlight caught his watch. Gold, clean, expensive, everything about him looked in control. But Lily saw what he did not. The man at the gate straightened. Not much. Just enough. A tiny movement. A hunter noticing the deer had stepped into the open. Michael took one step down the stone path. Then another. His polished shoes clicked against the walkway. Inside his head, he was already turning this into a mistake. A misunderstanding. A child's imagination. Maybe the gardener's daughter had seen too many crime shows. Maybe she wanted attention. Maybe she had simply gotten confused. Because to believe her meant something impossible. It meant the people closest to him knew he never looked closely. It meant someone had counted on his arrogance. It meant his wealth, his schedule, his confidence, everything that made him feel untouchable had made him easy to trap. But Michael Grant did not think that way. Not yet. He only thought about the meeting. The jet. The contracts. The people who expected him to arrive exactly on time, exactly as always. Behind him, Lily rose from the gravel. Her face had gone pale. "Sir," she said. He kept walking. "Sir, please." He stopped, annoyed, and turned. "What now?" Her voice trembled, but she did not back down. "If I'm wrong, you can be angry at me. My dad can lose his job. We can leave." "I know that." Michael's expression changed just a little. Lily swallowed. "But if I'm right, and you get in that car?" She looked toward the sedan. The engine hummed softly beyond the gate. "You don't come back." The words seemed to take the air out of the garden. For the first time, Michael did not answer immediately. A bird moved somewhere in the hedge. The fountain near the driveway kept spilling water into itself. The fake driver looked down at his phone, then back toward the house. Michael followed Lily's eyes. His impatience fought with something deeper now. Instinct. The kind of instinct he had ignored for years because money had built walls around him. Staff handled details. Drivers handled routes. Assistants handled time. Security handled danger. He handled power. But this child had noticed what his entire system had missed. The wrong hand. The wrong plate. The wrong man. Michael slowly stepped back toward the planters. Lily's shoulders dropped with relief, but only for half a second. Because his phone rang again. Vanessa. This time Michael answered. Daniel, no. He caught himself, his voice suddenly controlled. Vanessa. Her voice came through soft and smooth. Michael, where are you? The driver says you haven't gotten in yet. Michael looked at the sedan. The man by the gate looked back. I'm on my way, Michael said. A pause. Not long. But long enough. Then hurry, Vanessa said. This meeting has been planned for weeks. Michael's eyes shifted to Lily. The girl stared at him with quiet terror. I know, he said. I'm coming. He ended the call. For a moment, neither of them moved. Then Michael crouched again beside the planters, slower this time. His expensive suit brushed the gravel. His voice dropped to a whisper. Tell me exactly what you heard. Lily's lips parted, but no sound came out at first. She looked toward the mansion. Then toward the gate. Then back at Michael. For the first time, he saw what this moment was costing her. She was not just scared of the stranger in the suit. She was scared of the house behind them. The people inside. The power wrapped around every brick of this place. My dad works here, she whispered. You know that. Michael nodded slowly. He waters the roses. Trims the hedges. Cleans the leaves from the pool. Her voice got smaller. This job pays our rent. Michael stayed quiet. Lily clutched the notebook against her chest like a shield. If I say something wrong, they'll say I lied. They'll say I made trouble. They'll say my dad raised a disrespectful daughter. Her eyes filled, but she blinked the tears back. And then we're gone. The words hung between them. Michael looked at the gardener's shed near the back wall. The old push mower. The green hose coiled neatly on a hook. The worn glove sitting beside a bag of soil. He had passed those things every day. Never really seen them. Never thought about the man who used them. Never thought about the girl who watched from the edge of his world. Lily took a breath. But yesterday I was near the greenhouse. Michael's eyes sharpened. I wasn't trying to listen, she said quickly. I was doing homework. My dad said I could sit there because it was quiet. Then Mrs. Grant came outside. Michael's expression hardened at his wife's name. She wasn't alone. A faint sound came from the front gate. The sedan's engine. Still running. Waiting. Lily flinched at the sound, then kept going. There was a man with her. Not your driver. Someone else. I couldn't see his face at first, but I heard him. Michael leaned closer. What did he say? Lily swallowed. He said the driver had been switched. Michael's fingers curled against his knee. He said you wouldn't notice because you're always in a hurry. That landed like a slap. Michael's face went still. For years, people had moved around his schedule like planets around the sun. Cars ready. Doors opened. Coffee poured. Papers placed exactly where his hand would reach. He thought that meant control. Now crouched behind planters with gravel biting into his expensive pants, he realized it also meant predictability. Lily continued. They said once you got in the car he wouldn't take you to the airport. Michael's throat tightened. He'd take you somewhere far away. Somewhere quiet. A breeze moved through the hedges. Neither of them spoke for a moment. Beyond the gate, the fake driver checked his watch. Michael looked at him through a gap in the leaves. The man's face showed no impatience. No confusion. Only waiting. And you heard Vanessa say this? Michael asked. Lily nodded. She said nobody would know fast enough. She said by the time anyone noticed you'd already be gone. Michael's breathing changed. Slower now. He was trying to force his mind to reject it. A wife did not do this. Not his wife. Not the woman who sat across from him at charity dinners. Not the woman whose photo stood on his office desk in a silver frame. But Lily wasn't finished. They talked about your phone, she said. And your wallet. Michael turned to her. What about them? They said those would be taken first. The garden seemed too bright. Too peaceful. The fountain kept running soft and beautiful as if nothing ugly could exist beside it. Lily's voice dropped to almost nothing. They said you wouldn't be able to call anyone. Michael stared at the ground. His phone suddenly felt heavy in his pocket. Lily wiped her palms on her dress. Her hands were shaking now. I wanted to tell someone, she said. I almost told my dad. Why didn't you? Because if I was wrong he'd lose everything. Her voice broke on the last word. Michael looked at her, then not as the gardener's daughter, not as a child from the edge of the property, but as a person standing alone between him and something terrible. And if you were right, he asked softly. Lily looked him dead in the eye. Then maybe the wrong people would find out before you did. Michael said nothing. For the first time that morning he was not thinking about the flight, or the meeting, or the millions waiting on the other side of his signature. He was thinking about courage. Not the kind men praised in boardrooms. Not the kind printed in speeches. The real kind. A little girl risking her father's job, her home, her safety because she could not watch a man walk into danger. Lily reached into the pocket of her faded jacket. "There's more," she whispered. Michael's eyes dropped to her hand. She pulled out a small phone with a cracked corner and a pink sticker peeling off the back. "I recorded it." Michael stopped breathing. Lily held it between them like it weighed 100 pounds. "I didn't know what else to do." Before Michael could answer, his phone buzzed again. A text? "The driver is getting nervous. Where are you? Vanessa." Michael read it. Then looked toward the sedan. The fake driver lifted his head. Their eyes met through the iron bars of the gate. Michael slowly turned back to Lily. His voice was no longer angry. No longer arrogant. Just low. Cold. Awake. "Play it." The cracked phone sat in Lily's hand. For a moment Michael did not touch it. He just stared. Because once he heard that recording there would be no going back. No polite explanation. No misunderstanding. No business emergency. No excuse he could build inside his mind to protect the life he thought he had. Lily pressed the screen. A soft hiss came through the tiny speaker. "Wind. Leaves?" Then the faint creak of the greenhouse door. Michael leaned closer. At first the voices were muffled. Low, careful. Then one voice cut through clearly. "Vanessa. When he gets in the car, it's done." Michael's face changed. Not with anger. Not yet. It was worse than anger. It was the look of a man hearing his own life crack down the middle. Lily watched him, afraid to breathe. Vanessa's voice continued calm and smooth. The same voice that had told him to take his vitamins, reminded him about dinners, smiled through charity galas, and whispered goodnight beside him in a bed wider than some people's bedrooms. "He won't make it to the airport." Another voice answered. A man, low, practical. "The driver knows where to take him. The place is ready. No cameras, no neighbors, no phone." Michael's eyes lifted toward the sedan. The fake driver was still by the gate. Still waiting. The man on the recording kept speaking. "Once he's there, he won't be able to reach anyone." Lily lowered her eyes. She had already heard it once. But hearing it again with Michael beside her made it feel heavier, more real, more dangerous. Michael's hand slowly closed around the edge of the planter. His knuckles whitened. On the recording, Vanessa gave a small laugh. Not loud. Not cruel in the obvious way. That made it worse. It sounded relaxed. Like she was discussing dinner reservations. And Daniel, the recording crackled slightly. Michael's jaw tightened at the sound of his old name being spoken by another man in another life. Then the audio shifted again, catching Vanessa clearly. "Michael won't notice. He never notices anything when he's rushing." Silence. The words hit harder than the plot itself. Because they were true. He had not noticed the license plate. He had not noticed the wrong hand. He had not noticed the stranger standing beside his own car. And maybe for years he had not noticed the stranger sleeping beside him. The man on the recording spoke again. "What about the staff?" "They won't ask questions," Vanessa said. "They never do." Michael looked toward the house. The tall windows reflected the morning sun. The marble steps gleamed. Everything about the mansion looked polished and secure. But now it felt like a stage set. Beautiful from the outside. Rotten behind the walls. Vanessa's voice dropped lower. "Once he disappears, people will assume it was business. Stress. Maybe enemies. He has enough of them." The man laughed softly. "And the insurance?" Michael's chest barely moved. Vanessa answered without hesitation. "I'm the beneficiary." Lily's eyes flicked up to Michael's face. He did not blink. The recording kept going. "There will be questions," the man said. "Let them ask," Vanessa replied. "By the time anyone understands, it will be too late." The sound of footsteps moved across the recording. Gravel. Then the rustle of leaves. Lily must have hidden close enough to hear, close enough to be caught, close enough for everything to end badly for her and her father. Michael turned his head toward her. "You were right there," he whispered. Lily nodded. "Behind the tomato crates." His voice became rough. "They could have seen you." "I know, Lily." "I know," she said again, softer this time. And there it was. The cost of her courage. She had not only overheard a secret, she had stayed. She had listened long enough to understand danger, long enough to record proof. long enough to put herself between a billionaire and a trap set by his own wife. The recording continued. Vanessa's voice came back colder now. I gave him 15 years of my life. If I walk away, I leave with nothing. I am not leaving with nothing. Michael's eyes closed. For 1 second, the whole world disappeared. The house, the car, the flight, the girl beside him. All he could see was Vanessa in white at their wedding. Vanessa smiling for photographers. Vanessa sitting across from him at a table filled with people who called them the perfect couple. 15 years. And this was what remained. A plan. A fake driver. A quiet place with no cameras. A payout. The recording ended. The sudden silence felt louder than the voices. Lily slowly lowered the phone. Michael did not move. A breeze pushed through the hedges. Somewhere nearby, a sprinkler clicked on, ticking in steady little bursts across the lawn. Normal sounds. On the worst morning of his life. Finally, Lily spoke. I'm sorry, Mr. Grant. Michael opened his eyes. That almost broke him. Not the betrayal. Not the fear. Not even the proof in his hand. The apology. This child had risked everything to save him, and she was the one saying sorry. Michael looked at the sedan again. The fake driver was now speaking into his phone. His posture had changed. He was no longer just waiting. He was checking. Michael knew what that meant. Vanessa had called him. Maybe more than once. The plan was getting nervous. The trap was beginning to move. Michael turned back to Lily. His voice was quiet, but every word carried weight. Listen to me carefully. She straightened. You are not going back inside that house alone. You are not telling anyone what you heard. Not the staff. Not your father. Not yet. Her eyes widened. But my dad. I'll protect your father. She searched his face, trying to know whether a rich man's promise meant anything. Michael seemed to understand. So he said it differently. You saved my life. Now I'm going to make sure you don't lose yours. Lily held the phone tighter. Behind the gate, the fake driver took one step toward the mansion. Michael saw it. Lily saw it too. In the next few seconds, the story would stop being a warning. It would become a fight for survival. The fake driver moved one step closer to the gate. Michael did not move. Lily felt it before she understood it. The air had changed. The morning was still bright. The flowers still swayed. The fountain still whispered over white stone. But something dangerous had entered the garden. The plan was waking up. Michael crouched lower behind the tall planters and pulled Lily gently beside him. Stay down, he whispered. The man outside the gate lifted his phone to his ear. He turned his back slightly, but not enough. His eyes kept cutting toward the front door of the mansion. Then Michael's phone buzzed again. Another message from Vanessa. The driver says he can't wait much longer. What are you doing? Michael read it once. Then a second message appeared. Michael. Answer me. Lily watched his face. A few minutes ago he had been annoyed by her. Impatient. Too important to listen. Too proud to believe danger could reach him at his own front door. Now his eyes were sharp. Cold. Awake. What did they say would happen after I got in, he asked. Lily swallowed. They said the doors would lock. Michael looked toward the sedan. The man would take your phone first. Then your wallet. They said he had to make sure you couldn't call anyone or prove where you were. Michael's fingers closed around his own phone. And then? Lily's voice shook, but she forced the words out. He wouldn't drive to the airport. The black sedan idled beyond the iron bars, clean and polished like any luxury car waiting for any wealthy man on any normal morning. But now Michael could see it differently. Not as transportation. As a cage. They said he would take you out of the city, Lily continued. Far enough that nobody would hear you. Michael's jaw tightened. Where? I don't know. Lily looked ashamed, as if not knowing was somehow her fault. They only said it was quiet. No cameras. No neighbors. Michael's mind started working through every possibility. Private warehouses, empty farms, construction sites. Old estates. Places where a man could scream and the world would keep moving. Lily held the cracked phone close to her chest. They said the place was already ready. Michael looked at her. Ready how? She pressed her lips together. They said there would be no food. The words hit the garden like a stone dropped into water. Michael stared at her. No food. Lily nodded. They said they wouldn't hurt you all at once. They would just keep you there. Let you get weak. Let people think you left on purpose or disappeared because of business. Michael's breathing slowed. There was cruelty in that kind of plan. Not panic. Not rage. Passions. Someone had sat down and thought through his suffering. Someone had imagined him locked away, hungry, unreachable, fading day by day while the world searched in the wrong direction. And his wife had listened. Maybe even smiled. Lily continued, almost whispering now. They said when you were too weak it wouldn't matter what you signed. Or what happened after. Michael's eyes hardened. The meaning was clear. The kidnapping was not random. It was designed. The fake driver. The switched plate. The locked car. The missing phone. The isolated place. The hunger. Every piece had a purpose. He looked back through the leaves. The fake driver ended his call and slipped the phone into his jacket. Then he walked to the gate and pressed the intercom. A sharp buzz rang through the garden. Lily flinched. Michael put one hand in front of her, shielding her without thinking. From inside the mansion, a staff member's voice crackled through the speaker. Yes. The fake driver smiled politely. Mr. Grant's car is ready. Mrs. Grant asked me to check on the delay. Michael's stomach turned. He knew that tone. Professional, calm, harmless. The tone of a man trained to lie without blinking. The gate remained closed, but not for long. Inside, someone would look for him. Someone would open the door. Someone would call his name. Vanessa would come out if she had to. And if she saw Lily beside him, Michael turned to the girl. Do you know another way out of the garden? Lily nodded quickly. Behind the greenhouse. There's a service path. My dad uses it for tools. Does it lead to the street? To the back alley? Michael glanced toward the mansion. The front door was still closed. Not much time. Take me there? Lily hesitated. What about the recording? Keep it hidden. What about my dad? I said I'll protect him. She searched his face again. This time she believed him. Not completely. But enough. They moved low along the hedge, Lily first, Michael behind her. His polished shoes slipped once on the gravel. He caught himself against the wall, breathing hard, not from running but from the terrible understanding that his own home had become a trap. At the gate, the fake driver pressed the intercom again. Sir. His voice floated through the garden. Mr. Grant. Michael froze behind the hedge. Lily froze too. The man waited. Then he said louder, this time Mrs. Grant is worried. Michael's eyes turned toward the house. A curtain shifted in an upstairs window. Someone was watching. Lily grabbed his sleeve and pulled him toward the greenhouse. No, she whispered. Don't stop. So he followed. For the first time that morning, Michael Grant did not lead. He let a poor little girl guide him through his own garden, away from the car that was supposed to take him to the airport. And toward the truth that might keep him alive. The service path behind the greenhouse was narrow and half hidden beneath hanging vines. Lily moved through it like she knew every crack in the ground. Michael followed close behind, bent low, one hand brushing the glass wall of the greenhouse to steady himself. His suit jacket caught on a branch. He pulled free without caring about the tear. For the first time in years, money could not smooth the way. No assistant could fix this. No driver could reroute him. No polished smile could explain it away. Behind them, the fake driver's voice echoed faintly from the front gate. Mr. Grant. Lily stopped near a row of wooden crates stacked beside the greenhouse door. Here, she whispered. This is where I was yesterday. Michael looked at the spot. A few tomato crates. A coil of hose. A cracked plastic watering can. Nothing important. Nothing anyone rich would notice. And because of that, it had become the perfect hiding place for a child with open ears. Lily crouched behind the crates and pointed toward the glass door. They stood right there. Michael looked through the greenhouse window. Sunlight spilled across rows of plants. Ferns. Orchids. Small herbs in clay pots. A beautiful, quiet room made for growth. And inside that memory, his wife had planned his disappearance. Lily's voice trembled. The man asked her about the money. Michael turned slowly. What money? Lily swallowed. The insurance. The word landed hard. Michael did not speak. Lily looked down at the cracked phone in her hand as if the truth still lived inside it and might burn through her palm. He said, You're sure you're the beneficiary? Michael closed his eyes for a second. He knew the policy. Of course he knew it. A massive life insurance policy tied to his estate planning. Advisors had arranged it years ago. Papers had been signed in conference rooms filled with leather chairs and quiet voices. At the time it had felt responsible. Practical, routine. Now it felt like a weapon. And Vanessa said yes, he asked. Lily nodded. She said once you were declared missing, the money would come to her. She said she only had to wait. Michael's face hardened. She said that? Lily's eyes lifted to his. Yes, sir. The garden seemed to tilt beneath him. He had spent a lifetime believing numbers told the truth. Profit. Loss. Risk. Return. A clean world of contracts and signatures. But this number was different. This was the price someone had quietly placed on his life. Lily kept speaking because stopping would make it harder to start again. She said she gave you 15 years. Michael's throat moved. And if she left? Lily hesitated. Say it. She said she wouldn't leave with nothing. Michael looked toward the mansion. From where they crouched he could see the upper windows. The curtains. The balcony where Vanessa used to stand with coffee in the mornings waving to him as he got into the car. How many times had she smiled down at him? How many times had he mistaken performance for love? His phone vibrated again. He looked at the screen. Vanessa. Again? This time he did not answer. The call ended. A message appeared. Michael, this is embarrassing. The driver is outside. People are waiting. He almost laughed. Not because anything was funny. Because even now, she knew exactly which button to press. Embarrassment. Image. Schedule. Control. The old Michael would have walked straight into the car just to avoid making a scene. The old Michael would have chosen convenience over caution. The old Michael might already be gone. Lily watched him carefully. Did you know? She asked softly. Michael looked at her. About the insurance. No, she shook her head. About her. The question was innocent. That made it sharper. Michael opened his mouth but no answer came. Because the truth was humiliating. He had seen distance. Cold dinners. Private phone calls. A wife who smiled more for guests than for him. But betrayal. No. He had never allowed the thought to fully form. A man like Michael Grant believed betrayal happened to weaker men. Careless men. Men who did not understand power. Now he was hiding behind crates with a child, learning that power had made him blind. From the front of the house, a door opened. Both of them froze. A woman's voice carried through the garden. Michael? Vanessa. Lily's face drained of color. Michael raised a finger to his lips. Vanessa's heels clicked on the stone path. Slow at first. Then faster. Michael, this isn't funny. The fake driver's voice followed from the gate. Ma'am, should I come in and help look? No, Vanessa snapped. There it was. The mask slipping. One sharp word. Enough to show panic beneath the polish. Michael leaned closer to Lily. Stay behind me. But Lily shook her head. No. She knows the house. I know the garden. Before he could argue, she slipped through the narrow service path, pulling him toward the back hedge. Vanessa's voice grew closer. Michael. Then softer, colder. Where are you? Michael stopped behind the hedge and looked back. Through a thin break in the leaves he saw his wife step into view. Perfect dress. Perfect hair. Perfect calm except for her hands, they were clenched at her sides. She scanned the garden not with concern but with calculation. And in that moment Michael understood the full shape of the plan. The fake driver was not the beginning. The kidnapping was not the end. The hunger, the silence, the isolation, the missing person report, the insurance money, every piece was already waiting for him. Vanessa turned toward the greenhouse. Lily grabbed Michael's hand. This time he did not pull away. Together they slipped into the shadow of the back path while behind them, the woman who wanted his fortune walked past the exact spot where her plan had failed. Lily pulled Michael through the back path until they reached the thick hedge beside the greenhouse. Stop, she whispered. Michael froze. At first he heard only the soft drip of water from the greenhouse roof. Then came footsteps. 2 sets. One was Vanessa's. The other belonged to a man. Not the fake driver. Someone else? Lily slowly pointed through a narrow opening in the leaves. Michael leaned closer. And there beyond the hedge his world broke open. Vanessa Grant stood near the greenhouse door in her pale cream dress, the same dress she had worn that morning when she kissed his cheek and told him not to be late. Her hair was smooth. Her face was calm. But her eyes were sharp. Cold. Beside her stood a man Michael had never seen before. Tall, dark suit. No tie. His hands in his pockets like he owned the garden. Like he had walked through Michael's home 100 times without being seen. Michael's body went still. Lily stood beside him, silent. She did not need to explain anything now. The man stepped closer to Vanessa. You said he would be in the car by now, he said. Vanessa looked toward the front of the property. He should be. There was irritation in her voice. Not fear. Not guilt. Irritation. As if Michael's survival was an inconvenience. The man glanced toward the mansion windows. The driver is nervous. Vanessa's mouth tightened. He was paid to do a job. Tell him to keep waiting. Michael felt his pulse in his throat. Paid? There it was again. A clean word for something filthy. The man moved closer to her. If your husband starts asking questions, he won't, Vanessa said. The confidence in her voice cut deeper than any scream could have. He never does. Michael sees what he wants to see. The car. The schedule. The meeting. That's all. Michael looked down. For one painful second shame burned hotter than anger. Because she was right. He had built an empire by noticing numbers, contracts, markets, weaknesses in other men's deals. But he had failed to notice the danger at his own front door. He had failed to notice her. The man laughed softly. You really know him. Vanessa turned to him. Then slowly she smiled. It was not the smile she wore at charity events. Not the soft, polished smile Michael knew. This one was real. And it was not for him. The man reached out and touched her arm. Michael's breath stopped. Vanessa did not pull away. Instead, she stepped closer. The man lowered his voice. Just a little longer, he said. Once this is finished, no more hiding. Vanessa's face softened. For the first time that morning she looked almost happy. When this is over, she whispered, we can finally live without pretending. Michael gripped the hedge so tightly that leaves snapped under his fingers. Lily heard it and looked at him quickly. His face had gone pale. The kind of pale that does not come from fear. It comes from a person watching the life they trusted turn into a lie in front of them. Vanessa lifted her hand and touched the man's cheek. A small, familiar gesture. Too intimate. Too easy. Then she leaned in and kissed him. Michael did not move. He did not blink. He did not breathe. The kiss lasted only a few seconds, but it seemed to stretch across 15 years. Every anniversary dinner. Every photograph on a mantle. Every soft hand on his shoulder in front of guests. Every I love you spoken like a habit. All of it collapsed into that one moment beside the greenhouse. Lily looked away. She was only 11, but even she understood that some wounds should not be stared at. When Vanessa pulled back, the man brushed a strand of hair from her face. You're sure about the insurance? He asked. Vanessa's expression hardened again. Yes. And after he's declared missing? The money comes to me. Michael's stomach twisted. The man nodded toward the front gate. And if he doesn't get in the car? Vanessa looked around the garden. Her eyes moved over the hedges. The planters. The greenhouse. Michael lowered himself further into the shadows, pulling Lily down with him. For one terrifying second, Vanessa stared directly at the hedge. Michael could see her eyes. The woman he had trusted with his name, his home, his life. Then she looked away. He will, she said. He always chooses the easiest path. The word struck him harder than the kiss. Because that was the man he had been 20 minutes ago. The man who almost stepped into a trap because being late annoyed him more than being warned. The man who nearly dismissed a poor child because her fear was inconvenient. But not anymore. Vanessa and the man began walking away from the greenhouse, their voices fading along the stone path. Michael stayed crouched until they disappeared behind the side of the house. Only then did he exhale. It came out broken. Lily turned to him. I'm sorry, she whispered again. Michael looked at her. This time his eyes were wet. No, he said quietly. Don't be. He looked back at the empty greenhouse door. That was the first honest thing I've seen in this house in years. Lily did not know what to say. Michael reached for the cracked phone in her hand. Let me hear the rest of the recording. She gave it to him. And as the garden settled around them, Michael Grant finally understood something terrifying. The stranger by the car could have taken his body. But Vanessa had already taken everything else. Michael held Lily's cracked phone like it was made of glass. For a long moment he did not press play. The greenhouse stood quiet behind them. The kiss was over. Vanessa and the stranger had walked away. The fake driver was still waiting at the gate. But the real danger was no longer outside the car. It was in Michael's hand. Proof. Small, cracked. Almost worthless to anyone passing by. But inside it was the truth his mansion could not hide. Lily watched him with wide eyes. Mr. Grant. Michael looked down at her. She was still breathing fast. Her notebook was pressed against her ribs. Her knees were dusty from crawling through the garden. A leaf was stuck in her hair, but she did not notice. She had done what adults around him had never done. She had paid attention. And then she had acted. Michael lowered his voice. You recorded everything. Lily nodded. Not everything, she said honestly. I started after I heard your name. That honesty cut through him. Even now, she was careful with the truth. Not dramatic. Not trying to impress him. Just telling him exactly what she knew. Michael pressed play. The speaker crackled. At first there was only wind brushing against leaves. Then the greenhouse door creaked, followed by Vanessa's voice, soft and clear enough to make Michael's stomach turn. When he gets in the car, it's done. Michael shut his eyes. He had heard it before. But this time he listened differently. Not as a husband in shock. As a man building a case in his mind. The unknown man answered. The driver knows the route. He takes the highway first, then cuts off near the old industrial road. No cameras after that. Michael opened his eyes. A location. Lily looked at him quickly, realizing it too. The recording continued. The property is ready, the man said. No neighbors close enough to hear anything. No working security system, no cell signal inside. Michael's fingers tightened around the phone. Vanessa answered, almost impatient. Good. One word. That was all. No hesitation. No fear. No trace of the woman who had shared his home. Just good. The man spoke again. He may fight when he realizes. Vanessa gave a small breath, almost a laugh. Then make sure he realizes too late. Michael felt the blood drain from his face. Lily whispered, I'm sorry. He did not look at her. He could not. Because if he did, the little strength holding him together might break. The audio shifted. There was movement. A footstep. The scrape of something against stone. Then Vanessa again. Take his phone first. His wallet too. He always keeps both in the inside pocket of his jacket. Michael slowly touched his suit. The inside pocket. Exactly right. She knew every habit. Every movement. Every weakness. The man said, once he's gone, how long before you call anyone? Vanessa paused. Michael leaned closer. Not right away, she said. If I panic too soon, it looks staged. I'll wait. I'll say he left angry. I'll say he was under pressure. Michael's jaw clenched. The plan was not just to take him. It was to rewrite him. To turn his disappearance into a story the world would believe. A stressed billionaire. A troubled marriage. A business trip gone wrong. The man asked. And the insurance? Vanessa's voice dropped. I already checked the policy. I'm the beneficiary. Michael's eyes moved to the mansion. All those rooms. All that marble. All the polished silence. And somewhere inside papers had been filed. Accounts reviewed. A life measured in dollars. The man said. You understand the timing. Yes. Once he is officially declared missing, it moves forward. I know. And you're sure you can play the grieving wife? Vanessa's reply came without even a second of doubt. I've been playing a wife for years. Michael almost dropped the phone. Lily reached out, steadying his hand with both of hers. Her hands were small. Warm. Shaking. But they steadied him. The recording kept going. I gave him 15 years, Vanessa said. 15 years standing beside him, smiling at people I hated, living by his schedule, being part of his perfect picture. The man's voice softened. Soon it's over. Vanessa answered, cold and final. I'm not leaving with nothing. Then came the sound of a kiss. Michael pressed stop. Silence rushed in. For several seconds neither of them spoke. The garden felt impossibly still. Even the fountain seemed far away now. Michael stared at the phone. He no longer needed to wonder. He no longer needed to guess. The wrong driver. The wrong license plate. The hidden place. The phone and wallet. The insurance. The performance Vanessa planned to give after he vanished, it was all there. Every piece. In Lily's cracked little phone. Michael looked at her. You understood enough to know I was in danger. Lily nodded slowly. I didn't understand all the money parts, she said. But I understood they were going to take you somewhere. And I understood she wanted people to think you were just gone. Michael swallowed hard. Why didn't you run? Lily looked confused. What? When you heard them, he said. Why didn't you run away? She glanced toward the greenhouse. I was scared if I moved they'd see me. And after? She looked down at the phone. I thought if I didn't record it, no one would believe me. Michael froze. There it was. The reason she had stayed in danger. Not curiosity. Not childish bravery. She knew the world. She knew a poor girl's word against a rich woman's smile might not be enough. So she made sure the truth had a voice. Michael crouched in front of her. For the first time that morning he was at her eye level. You saved my life, he said. Lily's lips trembled. I just didn't want them to hurt you. Michael nodded, but his eyes were no longer soft. They were clear. Focused. Changed. Behind them, Vanessa's voice called from the garden. Michael? Closer now. Much closer. Lily stiffened. Michael slipped the cracked phone carefully back into her hand. Hide it, he whispered. She tucked it deep into her jacket pocket. Vanessa's footsteps approached the greenhouse. Michael looked at the little girl beside him and understood the truth with brutal clarity. Without that recording, he was a frightened husband with a suspicion. With it, he was a living witness. And Vanessa Grant had just become the one thing she never expected to be. Exposed. Vanessa's footsteps came closer to the greenhouse. Michael pulled Lily behind the thickest part of the hedge and lowered himself beside her. His shoulder pressed against the damp leaves. His torn suit sleeve brushed the soil. 20 minutes ago he would have found this humiliating. A billionaire hiding in his own garden. Now he understood it was the only reason he was still breathing. Vanessa stopped a few feet away. Michael, she called again. Her voice was sweeter now. Too sweet. The kind of voice she used at charity dinners when donors were watching. Michael closed his eyes and listened. He knew that voice. He knew that performance. He had admired it for years. Now it made his skin crawl. The fake driver's voice came from farther away beyond the gate. Ma'am, should I come around back? Vanessa snapped back. No. Stay with the car. Michael heard it clearly. Not concern. Control. He opened his eyes and looked through the hedge. Vanessa stood near the greenhouse door, phone in one hand, scanning the garden. She looked toward the planters, then the fountain, then the front steps. She was looking in every place the old Michael would be, the direct path. The clean path. The convenient path. And that was when he finally saw it. His whole life had become a map for other people. His driver knew which door he used. His assistant knew what time he left. His wife knew which pocket held his phone. His staff knew he never stopped to ask questions. His enemies knew he was always rushing. Michael Grant had spent years building systems to protect himself. Cars waiting. Schedules prepared. Flights booked, doors opened before he reached them. But those systems had not protected him. They had trained him. Trained him to move without looking. Trained him to trust without checking. Trained him to believe that wealth meant safety. Lily shifted beside him. A dry leaf cracked under her knee. Vanessa's head turned. Michael's hand moved instantly to Lily's shoulder, stilling her. Both of them held their breath. Vanessa stared at the hedge. 1 second. 2, 3. Then her phone buzzed. She looked down. Whatever message appeared made her face tighten. She stepped away from the greenhouse and lowered her voice. Where is he? She hissed into the phone. You said you saw him come out. Michael's pulse slowed. The fake driver had seen him. Of course he had. Michael replayed the moment in his mind. He had stepped out from behind the planters. Just for a few seconds. Enough to be seen. Enough to confirm he was outside. Enough to make them panic when he vanished again. Vanessa listened, jaw clenched. No, she said. He didn't leave through the front. I would have seen him. A pause. Then colder. Check the side camera. Michael froze. The cameras. He had forgotten his own security system. The irony almost made him sick. He had paid a fortune to cover every corner of the estate. Motion sensors, gate cameras, driveway cameras, side entrances, back service paths. Every upgrade had been approved by him. Every invoice signed by him. Every camera meant to keep danger out. Now they might lead danger straight to him. Lily leaned close to his ear. The back path doesn't have cameras, she whispered. Michael looked at her. How do you know? My dad complained about it, she said. He said the blind spot made it easier for delivery guys to dump mulch in the wrong place. For a second Michael almost smiled. Not because it was funny. Because the detail was so small, so ordinary, so human. The kind of thing he never heard. The kind of thing that now mattered more than anything in his executive reports. Vanessa ended the call and looked toward the far side of the garden. The back path. Michael knew they had seconds. He leaned toward Lily. We need to move. She nodded. But before they could, the front door of the mansion opened. Another staff member stepped out. Mrs. Grant, the woman called. Mr. Grant's briefcase is still in the study. Vanessa turned fast. What? His travel briefcase. Should I bring it to the car? Michael felt the truth hit him again. His briefcase. His phone. His wallet. His route. His driver. His flight. Everything about him was predictable. Even his luggage had a place in the plan. Vanessa's face shifted. For one quick second, confusion broke through the mask. If Michael had truly been heading to the airport, he would never leave the briefcase. That meant he knew something. Or suspected something. Or had changed the routine. And Michael Grant never changed the routine. Vanessa stepped toward the staff member. No, she said too quickly. Leave it. The woman hesitated. But Mr. Grant always takes. I said leave it. The staff member lowered her eyes. Yes, ma'am. Michael watched that tiny exchange with a pain he had never allowed himself to feel before. That was how his house worked. Fear disguised as respect. Orders disguised as elegance. Silence disguised as loyalty. Everyone in the mansion had been trained to obey the strongest voice in the room. And Vanessa had counted on it. Just like she had counted on him. Michael looked at Lily. You said the service path leads to the back alley. Yes. Can we reach it without crossing the lawn? If we crawl behind the hedges? Michael looked down at his suit. Mud already stained the knees. One sleeve was torn. His shoes were scratched. The old Michael would have cared. The new one moved. Lily went first, small and quick, sliding behind the hedge with her notebook tight against her chest. Michael followed, awkward and slow, branches scraping his face, dirt pressing into his palms. Behind them, Vanessa called again. Michael, answer me. No softness now. No wife. Only command. Michael kept crawling. Each movement felt like peeling away the man he had been. The man who never looked at license plates. The man who let people open doors for him. The man who confused routine with power. At the end of the hedge, Lily stopped and pointed. A narrow wooden gate stood behind the greenhouse, half hidden by vines. The service exit. No marble. No driveway. No waiting sedan. Just an old latch and a path to the alley. Michael reached for it. Then his phone rang again. The sound exploded in the quiet. Vanessa turned. Lily's eyes went wide. Michael looked down at the glowing screen. His wife's name. His trap calling him back. For one breath he saw his entire life in that phone. Appointments. Deals. Messages. Control. Then he pressed the power button and shut it off. The ringing died. Vanessa shouted from the garden. Michael. Michael opened the service gate. For the first time in years he left his own property without a driver, without a schedule, without permission. And behind him, the woman who knew every habit he had was about to learn one terrifying thing. Michael Grant had finally stopped being predictable. The wooden gate opened with a tired creak. Michael stepped into the back alley behind his own mansion, and for the first time that morning no one opened a door for him. No driver waited. No assistant followed. No polished voice told him where to go next. Only Lily stood beside him, small and breathless, holding her cracked phone like it was the only shield they had left. The alley was narrow, lined with brick walls and trash bins from the neighboring properties. It smelled like wet leaves and old cardboard. Somewhere, far away, traffic moved through the city like nothing had happened. Michael looked back at the gate. Behind it stood his world. The mansion. The money. The marriage. The people who smiled because they were paid to smile. And suddenly he understood how quiet his life had been. Not peaceful. Quiet. There was a difference. For years people had told him what he wanted to hear. They softened bad news. Hid ugly details. Smiled through discomfort. His staff never corrected him. His business partners never challenged him without a reason. Even his friends spoke carefully, as if every word might cost them something. But Lily had not done that. She had looked at him with frightened eyes and told him the truth. Not politely. Not perfectly. Not safely. Honestly. Michael turned to her. You could have walked away, he said. Lily looked confused. What? You could have heard them and said nothing. You could have gone home, protected your father. Protected yourself. She lowered her eyes. My dad says when you see something wrong you don't get to pretend you didn't see it. Michael felt the words settle somewhere deep inside him. Simple words. No boardroom language. No legal strategy. No public statement. Just right and wrong. He looked at her worn sneakers, dusty from the garden path. One lace was tied in a knot. Her notebook was bent at the corner. A pencil stuck out from between the pages. She did not look like someone who could save a billionaire. And that was exactly why everyone had underestimated her. Michael's voice softened. What's your father's name? Eddie Carter. The gardener. My dad, Lily said quickly. Michael paused. Then nodded. Your dad. That small correction hit him harder than he expected. To him, Eddie had been a role. A uniform. A man trimming hedges before sunrise. Someone in the background of a life too busy to notice him. To Lily he was everything. The man whose job she had risked. The man whose home she might lose. The man she was trying to protect even while saving Michael's life. Michael looked away ashamed. I don't think I ever thanked him by name. Lily said nothing. She did not need to. The silence answered for her. A loud voice suddenly carried over the garden wall. Michael. Vanessa. Closer now. The sweetness was gone. Michael and Lily both turned toward the gate. Then came the fake driver's voice from the other side of the property. He's not by the car. Lily grabbed Michael's sleeve. We have to go? Michael nodded. They moved down the alley, keeping close to the wall. His expensive shoes scraped against broken pavement. A delivery truck rumbled past the far end of the lane. Michael flinched, then hated himself for it. He was not used to being exposed. Not like this. No security. No private entrance. No controlled room. Just the open world and one child guiding him through it. Lily led him around a corner behind a row of hedges belonging to another estate. She stopped near a brick wall covered in ivy. From here we can get to the side street, she whispered. My dad parks his truck near there. Michael looked at her sharply. No. We can't bring him into this yet. He'll help? I know he will, Michael said. That's what worries me. Lily frowned. Michael crouched down, meeting her eyes again. Listen to me. Your father has a job in that house. Vanessa knows that. If she thinks he helped me, she may try to blame him. Lily's face tightened with fear. Michael saw it immediately. And it hurt. Because now he understood what truth cost people without power. For him, truth meant lawyers. Police. Security teams. Public statements. For Lily, truth meant eviction. A lost job. A father accused by people with money? Michael's voice became firm. That will not happen. Lily stared at him, unsure. He reached into his jacket, then stopped. His phone was off. His wallet was still there, but for the first time he did not want to solve this by handing someone money. This girl did not need a rich man showing off. She needed someone to finally stand beside her. "You were honest with me," he said. "So I'm going to be honest with you." Lily waited. "I almost didn't believe you because I thought I knew better." Her eyes softened. "I know." That answer was so quiet it nearly broke him. She had known. She had felt his doubt from the first moment. And still she stayed. Michael looked down the alley, then back at her. "People around me choose their words carefully," he said. "They tell me half-truths because they want something. They hide things because they're afraid. But you," he swallowed. "You told me something that could have cost you everything." Lily's fingers tightened around the cracked phone. "I was scared." "I know. I'm still scared." "So am I." The admission surprised both of them. Michael Grant, the man who never admitted fear, said it in a dirty alley to an 11-year-old girl. And somehow that made him stronger. Behind them a metal gate slammed. Vanessa had found the service exit. Lily gasped. Michael stood and gently moved in front of her. For the first time all morning he was not running from the truth. He was standing because of it. "Lily," he said without turning around, "when this is over, your father keeps his job only if he wants it. And your family will never be punished for telling the truth." Vanessa's heels clicked at the far end of the alley. Michael looked back once. The woman who had lied to him for years was coming closer. But the little girl who told him the truth stood right behind him. And that was the moment Michael finally understood. Honesty had not come from the mansion. It had come from the shadows beside it. Vanessa stopped at the far end of the alley. For the first time since Michael had known her, she did not look polished. Her perfect hair had loosened in the morning breeze. Her cream dress caught against the brick wall as she stepped forward. Her eyes moved from Michael to Lily, then down to the cracked phone in the girl's hand. And in that small glance Michael saw everything. She knew. Not all of it. But enough? "Michael," Vanessa said carefully. "What are you doing back here?" Her voice tried to sound calm. It failed. Michael stood in front of Lily. The alley behind the mansion was narrow, dirty, and quiet. A strange place for a billionaire to face the truth. No chandeliers, no marble floors, no security team. Just brick walls, garbage cans, and a poor little girl who had seen what no one else had. Vanessa's eyes narrowed. "Why is she with you?" Lily's fingers tightened around the phone. Michael felt her move slightly behind him. Afraid but still there. That courage shamed him. He had spent his whole life surrounded by people with titles. Attorneys, executives, advisors, wealth managers. Men and women paid thousands of dollars an hour to protect his interests. And yet none of them had saved him. Not the cameras. Not the gates. Not the luxury car. Not the staff moving silently through his mansion. An 11-year-old girl in worn sneakers had done what all his money could not. She had noticed. Vanessa stepped closer. "Michael, listen to me. Whatever she told you, she misunderstood." Michael let out a short, bitter breath. She noticed the license plate. Vanessa froze. She noticed the driver opened the door with the wrong hand. The color drained from Vanessa's face. She noticed because she actually pays attention. Vanessa's eyes flashed toward Lily. For a second the mask vanished. There was no elegance, no kindness, no grieving wife, only anger. "You little..." "Don't," Michael said. One word. Low, sharp. Vanessa stopped. The old Michael would have demanded answers. He would have shouted, threatened, called people, tried to take control with volume and power. But now he spoke quietly. Because Lily had taught him something in less than half an hour. The truth did not need to shout. Vanessa looked back at him and forced a soft smile. "Michael, come home. We'll talk inside." Home. The word almost made him laugh. That house was not home anymore. It was a stage where everyone had been assigned a part. Vanessa, the devoted wife. Michael, the busy husband. The staff, the silent witnesses. Lily and her father, the invisible help. But the invisible girl had become the only one who truly saw. "No," Michael said. Vanessa's smile tightened. "You're embarrassing yourself." There it was again. The same old button. Image, pride, reputation. For years Michael had answered to those things without realizing it. He had walked faster when someone said he was late. He had trusted strangers because they wore the right suit. He had ignored small details because details were for people beneath him. Now he looked down at Lily's dusty shoes, then back at Vanessa's expensive heels. And the contrast was brutal. Vanessa had diamonds in her ears and poison in her plans. Lily had a cracked phone and the courage to use it. Michael finally understood. Wealth could buy silence. But it could not buy wisdom. Vanessa took another step forward. "Give me the phone," she said. Lily stopped breathing. Michael did not move. Vanessa's voice hardened. "Michael, she is a child. She has no idea what she recorded. This could ruin lives. It was meant to ruin mine, Michael said. The alley went still. A car passed on the street beyond them, its tires hissing over damp pavement. Somewhere a dog barked behind a fence. Ordinary sounds moving around an extraordinary moment. Vanessa's face changed again. She looked past Michael toward Lily. You don't understand who you're dealing with, she said. Lily's voice came from behind Michael, small but clear. Yes, ma'am. Though. Michael turned slightly. Lily stepped out just enough for Vanessa to see her face. Her hands shook. Her eyes were wet. But she did not hide. My dad works in your garden, Lily said. You walked past him like he's not there. You walked past me like I was not there. That's why you talked where I could hear you. Vanessa said nothing. Lily swallowed hard. You thought nobody important was listening. Michael felt those words strike the alley like thunder. Nobody important. That was how people like Vanessa survived. They divided the world into people who mattered and people who did not. People who could hurt them and people they could step over. But this time, the person she stepped over had become the reason her plan failed. Michael looked at Lily with something close to awe. He had been wrong about power. Power was not the gate. Not the mansion. Not the black sedan waiting out front. Power was a little girl brave enough to tell the truth when lying would have been safer. Vanessa's phone rang. She glanced at the screen. The fake driver. Michael saw panic flicker in her eyes. The plan was collapsing and every second made it worse. Answer it, Michael said. Vanessa looked at him. Put it on speaker. Her lips parted. No. Michael reached into his pocket and turned his own phone back on. Vanessa's eyes widened. What are you doing? This time he said, I'm calling someone myself. For years other people had managed his exits, his rides, his risks, his life. Not anymore. He dialed emergency services. Vanessa moved forward. Lily stepped back. Michael raised his hand, stopping Vanessa without touching her. You had my schedule, he said. She had her eyes open. Then he looked at Lily. And that made her smarter than all of us. The call connected. Michael spoke clearly into the phone. My name is Michael Grant. I need police at the back alley behind my estate. There is evidence of a planned kidnapping. Vanessa stared at him, silent now. No performance left. No perfect smile. No control. And beside him, Lily Carter stood in the morning light, still poor, still scared, still wearing dusty sneakers. But in that moment she was the richest person there. Because she had something no fortune could buy. A brave heart. And the truth. The police sirens came from a distance at first. Soft. Then louder. Vanessa looked toward the street, her face empty now. The fake driver backed away from the gate, but there was nowhere clean left to run. The truth had already stepped into the light. Michael stood beside Lily in the alley, his phone still in his hand. And for the first time he understood how close he had come to vanishing. Not because of a gun. Not because of a stranger. But because he almost ignored the smallest warning. A wrong hand. A wrong number on a license plate. A frightened child whispering, please don't go. He turned to Lily. You saw what I didn't. Lily looked down. I just noticed. Michael shook his head. No. You cared enough to notice. The police cars stopped at the mouth of the alley. Officers rushed in. Vanessa said nothing. The perfect wife had no perfect lie left. Michael placed one hand gently on Lily's shoulder. That morning a billionaire learned a truth no money could buy. Sometimes God sends protection in a voice we almost ignore. A child. A neighbor. A quiet warning. A small detail that feels easy to dismiss. Life does not always shout before danger arrives. Sometimes it whispers. So, pay attention. Listen to the people others overlook. Respect the poor, the quiet, the invisible. Because wisdom is not measured by wealth, status, or expensive clothes. Sometimes the person who saves your life is the one you barely noticed yesterday. And if this story touched your heart, tell us in the comments. Have you ever ignored a small warning and later realized it mattered? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell because the next story may remind someone to listen before it is too late.